Senator Tester.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Feinstein.
Montana comes to life.
Yes. Not that we're going to be parochial, but we will, on my case today. And thank you for being here, Tom. I really appreciate the work you've done in Region 1 previous to this job, and I appreciate your vision here in the position you have. Secretary Vilsack has a new vision for the Forest Service. In Montana just a few days ago, the Secretary talked about how a bill that I happen to have, the Forest Jobs and Recreation Act, provides the tools the Forest Service need to achieve that goal. He and I both believe that, as I think the chairwoman does, that timber production and restoration are tools to create and save jobs in our rural communities and ultimately save those rural communities. I can see this vision in this budget. Unfortunately, what I don't see in the budget is the accountability to manage the money. For example, in my bill, there's a mandate to make sure that the work on the ground is completed and that it's done in a time certain. What is the Forest Service doing to make sure that the funds are accounted for and spent wisely, and restoration, timber harvest, watershed management are all still completed in this new budget?
Well, Senator, thank you for the question, and also I want to thank you for your leadership and your support for us to be able to do more restoration work on the landscape, provide more jobs, and also with your legislation to also add additional areas to the wilderness preservation system. So I want to thank you for that leadership. Also, thank you for that question. With our budget justification, we do plan to provide additional information to the committee that will not only show how the number of acres that will be restored with this budget request, the number of watershed that will be improved, but also we will provide you with a list of all the other outputs that will be accomplished through this work, and that will include in excess of 2.4 billion board feet, the number of acres of wildlife habitat that will be improved, the number of miles of fishery streams, the number of acres of noxious weeds. And we want to be able to show you that by restoring the number of acres that we're proposing with this budget request, that it equals this set of accomplishments. And we want to be able to show you that there's a direct connection, and so that we can be held accountable for not only improving the overall watershed conditions, but also to be accountable for this set of outputs that's very important that we're able to provide those. And so I look forward for us to be able to bring that up and sit down with the staff and be able to show that and work with the committee to address your concerns. I recognize that that's missing in our budget request, and we need to get that up to you so you can see that.
I appreciate that. I guess the next question would be to follow up is, how often do you plan on giving the committee the kind of analysis that you just spoke of?
Well, if we can, we'll continue to work with the committee to address your concerns, and then throughout the year, we are more than glad to come up at any time to be able to show the progress that we've been making on accomplishments. I would like to reference what we were able to do in 2009. And if you look at 2009, it was probably the toughest market that we've had with the timber integrated wood products industry. Absolutely. But we were still able to accomplish close to 97% of our target in 2009.
Okay.
We also exceeded our wildlife improvement targets, and we also exceeded our hazardous fuel improvement targets.
Well, we appreciate that work, and quite honestly, I appreciate your openness about getting the information to us so that we know as appropriators that the money is being spent wisely and efficiently. In November of 2008, the GAO produced a report about the use of stewardship contracting in the agency. That report recommended three things: better plans for long-term stewardship contracting, better collection of data about stewardship contracts, and improved accounting for services received for products sold. What is the agency doing about addressing those management goals?
Well, first we've changed our accounting system, so we're now able to track the outputs from stewardship contracts and also the revenues and, the cost of that work. So we'll be able to, include that in our automated timber sale statement of accounting. So each year we'll be able to produce that report that'll show all the accomplishments. We've also provided a stewardship agreement template that we can use this across the country so that every region, every forest is using a consistent stewardship agreement. And then also, we're in the process of completing a new stewardship contract that I refer to as a blended contract. In the past, we've had two contracts. One was an integrated timber sale contract, and one was a service contract. And we'd have to choose at the start of the project which way to go with that. This new one combines that so that we're able to use the same contract, and not have to be worried so much about the market conditions. And I believe that that will help facilitate the work. It'll make it easier not only for our employees, but definitely for purchasers. And I believe that'll be a significant improvement and will help us to move forward and use this authority more.
Okay, well, thank you, Chief Tidwell. Madam Chair, I'm going to slip out for a bit. If the hearing's still going on, I'll come back, but if it's not, we'll submit the question.